Tonight, the 2 police officers killed in the line of duty in Innisfil are laid to rest.
Morgan was truly the kindest, most loyal and loving husband and daddy that anyone could ever want.
I will love you forever, and you are my hero.
Family, friends, and fellow police officers gathered to honor Constables Devin Northrup and Morgan Russell at a joint funeral in Barrie. Plus,
somebody scrawled a swastika and some other symbol in the back.
Police are asking for the public's help identifying a suspect after more than 20 vehicles in a downtown neighborhood were vandalized with hate symbols and other etchings. And
my eyes were burning, my teeth were hurting, my chest was like horrible. I felt like an elephant was sitting on me.
Just 2 weeks after its grand opening, some of the amenities at a new Nordic spa in Whitby have had to close after some clients fell ill. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. A joint private funeral was held today for the 2 police constables who were killed in Innisfil last week. Constables Devin Northrup and Morgan Russell were responding to a disturbance call when they were both fatally shot. Today, thousands of police officers escorted their caskets to Barrie's Sadlin Arena, where loved ones gathered to say their final goodbyes. As Ali Chiasson reports, many gathered along the way to show their support.
We want to show our support as a police family.
Today was especially hard for those families who worry about their loved ones when they go to work.
It's absolutely terrifying when something like this happens.
It brings back memories on a day like today.
Some know the pain all too well.
I know what you're going through, and just to know that he's looking out over this day too, and he would have been here if he could have been. He would be marching with his platoon.
Inside the arena, we got to hear more about the men we've come to know only in headlines, from the people who knew Constable Morgan Russell and Constable Devin Northrup best.
Devin was one of the bravest people I've ever met, and today he would want me to be brave.
His girlfriend Annie is also a South Simcoe police officer.
Tuesday, October 11th started out like any other day in our house. We woke up, made a fresh pot of coffee, and had a dance party in the kitchen. Kissed me 3 times before he left like he always did, and as always, before one of us walked out that door, we said, stay safe.
It's surreal to hear how their day started.
On the evening of October 11th, my husband Morgan prepared for night shift as he always did. He hugged the 3 of us, he told us he loved us, and we waved at the window as he drove away.
What would happen that evening at that house on a quiet street in Innisfil forever changed these 2 families.
The night that followed was routine until the chief of police rang our doorbell after 10, a visit no police wife ever wants to get.
They were both brave and dedicated men who gave their lives to protect our community. And we will never have the chance to thank them.
Not in person, but the overwhelming support of the citizens who they served and protected.
It's important that I show my respect, not just for the officers fallen, but also for the cops that are on the job.
That's not lost on the officers today.
10 days ago, I would have said our policing family is 102 sworn members strong. But today, as I look out, I can see that I was wrong. Our policing family numbers in the thousands.
I will love you forever, and you are my hero.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Barrie.
Toronto police are looking for a suspect after more than 20 vehicles were vandalized in a downtown neighborhood. It happened in the area of Markham and Robinson Streets near Bathurst and Queen just before 6 a.m. on Tuesday. Residents waking up to symbols of hate etched into their cars. Patrick Swadden has this story.
Residents say this is typically a pretty uneventful neighborhood, until they woke up on Tuesday morning to this. And this, and this. Corey Peel says his car was one of the unlucky targets.
You can see as well as I can. I think this is supposed to say car with a fancy C.
But he says the worst part is what he found on the trunk.
The trunk is a definite swastika on the right, and then there's the same symbol that he used for the C on my hood to the left. It's also unfortunate because you don't want to drive around a car with a swastika on the back.
Surveillance footage shows the man responsible.
Hey, how you doing, man? Good morning. Cheerio. Want to take a picture?
And Corey's wasn't the only car that was hit. Toronto police are saying over 20 cars were defaced in the early hours of Tuesday morning, including this one belonging to one of Corey's neighbors.
So my car's right over here, this blue car over here, and that was etched with 1499, and it's been like keyed in or scratched in.
Regev says, given the other hate symbols, the 1499 may have been an error.
There's 1488, which is a hate symbol, so I don't know if they mistook it, but I'm not sure of 1499.
1488 is apparently a combination of two popular white supremacist numeric symbols, a secret code used by neo-Nazis to covertly broadcast hate. It's unclear if that was the intention of the suspect. MPP Chris Glover, whose office was a block away from the vandals' path, says he's concerned by the act.
I've been in this neighborhood, and nearby neighborhoods for many, many years, and I've never seen this kind of thing happen. That anybody would do this, and be promoting this kind of hatred in our community is just appalling.
Police don't have any suspects yet, but are investigating. They've released this photo, but didn't respond to CBC Toronto's request for more information. Patrick Swadden, CBC News, Toronto.
Meanwhile, police in York Region are investigating what they are calling a hate crime after anti-Islamic phrases were spray painted on the side of a mosque in Thornhill. And as Greg Ross tells us, it's left some members fearing for their safety.
It has, created an enormous amount of anxiety and fear among our community here.
Nairiak Barzadeh is a member at the Imam Mahdi Islamic Center in Thornhill. She says the mosque there has been vandalized twice in the past 2 weeks, with anti-Islamic phrases being spray painted in Persian on the building.
This one says, "Down with Islamic Republic."
They believe they are being targeted in connection with the recent protests happening in Iran against the Islamic Republic regime there. The protests began after 22-year-old Mahsa Amini died in police custody. She was arrested for violating Iran's mandatory hijab laws. Members here tell me that the Islamic Center does not have any political affiliation with the Islamic Republic in Iran.
Zero affiliation with any government and any political parties, but still we are targeted.
She says they actually support the right for people in Iran to protest.
Of course, it's their right to just, show their anger, but here I don't understand.
York Regional Police are now investigating.
It's being classified as hate-motivated, hate-biased.
Police have also been made aware of a potential protest happening at the mosque this weekend.
We are going to be monitoring that, and we will be responding as required. Again, our priority here is safety.
Police have reviewed security footage from the mosque and have released this image of a suspect. They say it's a man about 5 foot 10 inches tall. He had his face covered in the video. Anyone with information is asked to contact police. Greg Ross, CBC News, Thornhill.
It opened just 2 weeks ago, and too much hype, but the brand new Thermea Spa Village in Whitby is now having to close some of its amenities after some clients reported rashes, ear infections, and flu-like symptoms. Meg Roberts has more.
We wanted to develop something new, something that looks like us.
After years of opening delays, it was ads like this one that had Sophia Daly and Natsivatsis and her friends wondering what the hype was all about at Thermea Spa Village.
So it was like all this delay was actually making it more exciting. So we had said, as soon as it opens, we're going to book it.
She says the spa was beautiful, the service amazing, but instead of walking away feeling relaxed and rejuvenated, she felt sick.
Saturday, I ended up going to the doctor because I couldn't take it anymore. Like, it was bad. My eyes were burning. My teeth were hurting. My chest was like horrible. I felt like an elephant was sitting on me. And I got antibiotics. I found that I was very sick. He said I had a serious infection. And I left. I left it alone.
That's until she was forwarded this message from the spa that was sent out yesterday. Durham Public Health found Pseudomonas and Staphylococcus bacteria in one of the spa's saltwater pools. due to what the company says was a malfunction to the UV lamps and the bromine disinfectant.
I was very sick. I was unable to get out of my bed for 2 full days. I could not eat for 4 full days.
The infection sending Ted Sneeg to the hospital. He wants to know why the spa knew about the issue on October 14th, but did not alert the public until days after.
I have a Facebook group with over 25 people in it that have gotten sick. And we aren't impressed with the communication from the spa, the transparency until it was too late.
We didn't want to start addressing these concerns until we had a full picture of what was happening.
The company saying it immediately shut down the pool when discovering the issue and has since closed all the pools until a full investigation has been done.
Of hundreds and hundreds of guests who did enjoy Cala over that time frame, it is less of 1% who were affected by this.
The company says it has given anyone who used the pool a credit, but those who got sick say they won't be rushing back. Meg Roberts, CBC News, Toronto.
Colette Kennedy joins us now with a first look at your forecast. And Colette, it's been a few days of this now, rain and cloudy skies, but things are starting to shift.
Well, and you know, with this weather pattern that we have been in, which has been so persistent, nice to finally have some changes, getting some clearing skies overnight tonight. But what comes with that, with still some of that colder air in place and then the clearing, it does mean we have the frost advisory in the city of Toronto included in this, Halton Peel regions as well. So Brampton, Burlington, Mississauga, Oakville, all the risks there of some freezing tonight, some frost development. Temperatures don't even have to go right down to freezing, although in some cases we'll see a dip just below. So just keep that in mind. If you do have some vegetation, you can still protect or bring in. A look at the daytime highs from today. Yeah, at this time of year, we should still be in some double digits. So definitely on that cooler side. But that trough finally moves away, finally is kicked out of here as a ridge builds in. It does bring us the sunshine during the day. Now a little bit breezy tomorrow as well, but our temperatures will finally rebound and we're headed back towards seasonal, 14 for the high. Temperatures going above seasonal as we head into the weekend. I'll have details on that coming up.
Thanks so much, Colette. Canadian musician Jacob Hogarth has been sentenced to 5 years in prison. The judge handed down the sentence today, almost 5 months after a Toronto jury found him guilty of sexual assault causing bodily harm. Hogarth, the former lead singer of the rock band Headley, appeared in court with his wife. The conviction is related to an incident in a Toronto hotel in 2016 when he raped a woman in her early 20s. The judge said today the victim is no longer the same person she was before the attack, adding that the woman was physically hurt, but far more significant was the psychological damage. Tonight, Hogarth was granted bail pending his appeal of his conviction. The Ontario government announced today it is giving all parents $200 per school-age child to support their academics. Now, it's part of what the province calls its plan to catch up. After 2 years of learning disruptions due to the pandemic, the payments come as newly released results from the province's standardized tests show students are struggling. Lorenda Redicop reports.
Families can apply today online for catch-up payments.
They're called catch-up payments, but don't have to be used to help kids catch up. Over the past few months, the education minister has mentioned more money for tutoring supports. But parents can spend the money on anything. $200 per child, $250 for those with special needs.
You know, I have a confidence in parents in this province to put these dollars to work for their kids. It is a difficult time in this economy with inflation high. They could buy technology. It could be a variety of tools and resources and textbooks, things that aid their child in getting back on track.
Plus, he announced other supports, such as sending in action teams to school boards underperforming in math, more digital tools, and improving teacher training.
Sometimes a student likes to get up and be more physical with the wall.
Vanessa Vacaria runs the tutoring business, The Math Guru. She doesn't like the idea of paying parents directly to help with learning.
As a private tutor and a private tutoring company would directly benefit from these supports, but I don't think it's the best use of money. We're trying to fix a problem with the public education system, and in my opinion, that money would be better spent in schools.
She also says with each tutoring session costing $50 to $80, $200 won't help much. All this as today, the latest standardized test scores are out. 59% of grade 3 students met the provincial standard in math, much lower than the results for reading and writing. For grade 6 students, just 47% met the math standard. Again, a huge gap compared to the reading and writing results. With grade 9 students, 52% met the standard for math, though this was the first time the tests were done online. Vanessa Vicaria says what would really help students who are struggling is smaller class sizes. Parents have until next March 31st to apply online for the extra money. The website is ontario.ca/catch-up payments. Lorenda Radicomp, CBC News, Toronto.
Welcome back. Cooler temperatures, colorful leaves. Yep, it's fall all right. And some people choose to rake the leaves off their yard. Others like to use a leaf blower. But one Toronto mayoral candidate says leaf blowers should be banned. Patrick Swadden reports.
That noise isn't just an annoyance these two can live with.
It's long overdue that Toronto stop being a lagger in protecting the health and our environment.
And so they started Gas Busters, a Toronto resident group hoping to have them banned. They say the group now has 600 members.
Our goal initially was to build awareness around the issue and now make it an election issue.
And an election issue is what they got. Mayoral candidate Gil Penaloza saying he would work towards a citywide ban if elected.
So it's double pollution. So it contaminates the air and the noise. The cities, we already have enough noise.
There are significant burdens of disease by excessive noise exposure. There's been an increasing focus and concern at the same time as there's been increasing evidence, studies in Toronto specifically showing that these severe health effects are present in the population.
But not everybody views gas-powered leaf blowers as a problem, especially those who use them on a regular basis.
I've been using them for the past 5 years or 6 years. In residential neighborhoods, commercial neighborhoods, never had anyone complain.
And Ali says they drastically cut down the time it takes his team to do a job.
We used to do it with 2 guys with rakes, and that used to take us pretty much all day. Now we come in with 2 of these blowers, and we finish it up in about 2 hours with 2 guys.
Ali has tried electric-powered blowers, but says they aren't nearly as effective. Others in the industry say they don't need to be.
We need to reset expectations of customers. People expect every leaf to be gone, every speck of dust to be gone, and that's just silly.
James says electric technology has come a long way.
I think that the electric way to go is the better way to go. And I think that if some municipality doesn't do it, then we're never going to get around to it.
One Vancouver neighborhood has banned gas-powered blowers outright, while Ottawa has decided to phase them out. For these residents, they're hoping Toronto will follow suit.
To have a potential new mayor that will support this ban is fantastic.
Patrick Swadden, CBC News, Toronto.
And you are looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline. It was partly cloudy tonight with a bit of light rain, clearing overnight though. Currently, it is 4 degrees downtown. Let's go back to Colette now with a more detailed look at your forecast. And Colette, another cool night, but the skies are starting to clear.
Well, the thing with weather, I suppose, as is in life, sometimes it's about the trade-offs. And we're looking at some of the trade-offs here. As we head through the overnight hours, we get rid of the clouds, so perhaps for many a positive thing. But it does allow that cold air to really not only filter in, but those temperatures to drop further. So coldest night of the season. We haven't been at Pearson anyway in the negatives, so below 0 since the end of April of last year. It's possible we dip just below or down to about freezing for tonight. So that chance is there. Sunny and milder Friday into the afternoon, but as those winds are picking up, bringing that southerly flow that picks the temperatures up, it is going to be a little breezy, but back to seasonal. And then a whole role reversal between that trough we've been dealing with and a ridge in the west. Well, that ridge now moves in, and we're going to see the temperatures above seasonal as we go into the weekend. So the jet stream kind of pushing now a little further eastward. It leveled out a little bit, but now a deepening trough in the west, and that allows that ridge to build the heat in the east, and that's why we're above seasonal, not only as we look through the weekend, but into the beginning of next week as well. It does mean that trough pulls away, takes the cloud cover with it, and some of that precipitation, which, yes, at times was mixed or even heavier, as we saw with some of the lake effect in regions to the north of the GTA. Saturday looking good, a few clouds kind of here and there, and full sunshine as we head into Sunday. And just to look at the overnight temperatures for tonight, however, now this is at midnight, and something I do want to point out, because as that southerly flow moves in, it has an impact on the province differently. It comes in more quickly for southwestern Ontario, so winds are closer to midnight, you're at your coolest temperature, and then towards morning, your temperatures pick up, whereas we'll be dipping down as we get towards those early morning hours, more where you would expect an overnight low to be. And whether we get to -2 at Toronto, I'm not going quite that cold, but this particular model, the Canadian model, thinks that potential is there. Then we go to the warm-up. So Friday with sunshine, 14. Saturday with sunshine, 18. I think the important thing here, whether it's 18, 19, 17, 18, is that it's above seasonal. It's upper teens that we're looking at, some low 20s possible in southwestern Ontario too, and that it is going to linger into the beginning to mid part of next week.
Thanks so much, Colette. Finally tonight, hundreds of students held a walk around Riverdale this morning to remember Chani Wenjack.
He went through something that no one should have went through. It's a huge part of our history, and it tells us how bad these residential schools were.
The walk for Wenjack retraces the steps of the 9-year-old Anishinaabe boy who died escaping a residential school in Kenora back in 1966. He and 9 others ran away at the age of 12 to try and go back to their families. And today, students at Jackman Avenue Public School honored Wenjack's life by walking 600 kilometers. It was the same distance Chani traveled trying to get back home to the Martin Falls First Nation Reserve. The walk raises money for the Downey and Wenjack Fund, which supports Indigenous culture and education. And that is our show for you tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I will have your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. Have a great night, everyone.